Audiobook Academy Biography presents Ovid. Ovid was a Roman elegiac poet and narrator most known to modern readers for his work Metamorphoses. His poetry is distinguished by a blend of subtlety and ease. As opposed to other Roman poets, Ovid incorporated more personal details about his own life in his work, giving his readers a more complete picture of his character. The elegiac collection of letters in the poetry Tristia, Sorrows, Book 4 of the 10th Elegy, in which he recounts his own life story, is particularly fascinating. Quintilian and Seneca the Elder are two other possible references. Childhood and education. Ovid, the pen name of Publius Ovidius Naso, was born into a noble family in the ancient city of Sulmona in the year 43 BC. While in Rome, he studied rhetoric alongside his brother, who was a natural at public speaking. Even though his father wanted him to be a lawyer, Ovid never showed any interest in the field, preferring instead to dedicate his time and energy to poetry, which he achieved tremendous success in. Seneca claimed that Ovid's style of oratory tended toward the sentimental rather than the rational. A few years after Ovid's younger sibling died at the age of 20, Ovid relinquished his job and began traveling to Athens as well as Asia Minor and Sicily. When he quit the Tres Veri Capitalis, magistrates, and Decembri Slitibus, 10-member dispute settlement body, to devote himself to poetry circa 29 to 25 BC, which his father did not approve of, he became one of the most important poets of the Roman Empire. In 25 BC, at the age of 18, he published his first work. By the time he was 20, he had already established himself in the literary circles of Messala Corvinus, when he met Tibullus and wrote a moving tribute to the deceased. Erotic elegies in the gallant Roman society to which Ovid could become a poetic translator made him a household name within a short time. At some point in the third year after Messala's death, Ovid shifted the subject matter of his compositions. Metamorphoses is a 15-book collection of his best work, which he dedicated himself to authoring. In the Middle Ages, this series of myths became a popular and extensively disseminated one. It was also during this time that the Roman calendar review poem Fasti was first published. Ovid's final opus, which remained unfinished, was snatched away from him by an imperial decree. The eighth year saw him relocated to Toma, now Constanza, a little Black Sea coast town in the kingdom of Geta, under the orders of Augustus. 10th Elegy of Tristia's fourth book describes the reason for this punishment in a gloomy and cryptic manner. His life story was well illustrated here. He only cites Augustus' fury, Lysis, in the elegy from exile because of the duo crimina. There were rumors that some of his deportation was related to the scandal surrounding the emperor's granddaughter Julia, who was also banished for her promiscuous lifestyle. However, his expulsion was mostly due to accusations of immorality stemming from Ars Amatoria, his youthful work. To return to Rome, Ovid once more tried, but Tiberius the new princeps was unrelenting, and Ovid died in exile in the 17th or 18th century AD. In 3 marriages, Ovid had only one daughter who gave birth to grandsons, and he never had any other children. While in exile in Thomas, his last wife was somehow linked to the Fabians, Lot. Gens Fabia, a powerful patrician family. Career in writing. Ovid's poetry can be broken down into 3 distinct sections. 1. Love elegies. 2. Ideological poetry. 3. Mournful and polemical elegies from exile. Love elegies were composed between 25 BC and 2 AD. 3 volumes make up the beginning of this cycle. Carina, a fictional female character based on the traits of numerous women the poet knew, is the subject of the first poem, Amoris, Love. Tibullus and Sextus Propertius devised the conventions of elegy that were used in the poems. There are 15 poems in the first book, 19 in the second, and 15 in the third. A collection of 21 elegiac couplet poems, Ovid's Eroid or Epistolae Eroidum, epistles to the heroines, shifts from personal to mythical elegy, but also innovates in it by giving it an epistolary form, letters with erotic love themes, in comparison to the prior tradition. Several mythical characters lament the loss of their lovers in Ovid's letters, and Ovid displays a keen understanding of female sensibility through his depictions of passionate love. Penelope, Philida, Briseis, Phaedra, Oenona, Hypsippola, Dido, Hermione, Dejanira, Ariadne, Connache, Medea, Laodamia, and Hypermnestra were among the women who wrote letters to their lovers who had died. To the boatman Faun, Sappho writes in her 15th letter, a letter that, based on its length, lack of connection to legendary themes, and lack of medieval text, appears to be fictitious. They include a letter to the lover, and his response. The letters are addressed to Paris, Helena, Hero, and Leander, Acondius, and Kittipa. Because Ovid did not mention them, These letters are considered a later addition to the collection, and they may be false. 3 volumes make up Ars Amatoria, the art of love. First, Ovid instructs men on how to locate and maintain a spouse in his first 2 books, and then he instructs women in his 3rd book. In Ovid's second, unfinished work, Medicamina Faciae, the author provides excellent advice to ladies on how to maintain or halt the aging process of their appearance. Only about 100 of the poem's elegiac lyrics have survived. Remedia Amortized, The Cure of Love, is Ovid's 3rd work of this genre, in which he offers advice to individuals who have been hurt by love. There are 15 volumes and 250 stories in Metamorphoses, which recounts about Greek and Roman mythologies and metamorphoses, from Chaos' initial metamorphoses to Caesar's transformation into a star in Augustus Apphiosis. Metamorphoses, Ovid's long-breathing song based on the realm of ancient myth, was an attempt to produce his opus perpetuum. Changed characters in Ovid are either gods or heroes or humans in the middle of the social scale. Whatever happens to them is described in a fantastical light. Ovid's elegy dissertations continued after Metamorphoses with his next work, Fasti. Because of his exile, the poet's exhilarating break in creativity, he produced the first 6 volumes. Presumably the initial intention was to write 12, one for each month of the Roman calendar. Each month of the Roman calendar is reviewed in poetry form in the Fasti, which includes a quest for the mythological roots of the festivals and ceremonies that take place during the time period. As early as 8 CE, Ovid's final cycle of works began. Due to the overbearing weight of legendary expertise, Ibis, Kalima's polemical parody of an enemy, failed miserably here, among other things. But Tristia, Lamentations, and the 4 books of the Epistolae ex Ponto are the prominent works of that period. Epistles of Pontus, a book of elegy he wrote during his exile in Thomas, is called Lamentations. There are 11 poems in the first book, and a large poem in the second book in which Ovid defends himself and his poetry and asks the emperor's forgiveness. 13 poems in the third book, 10 primarily dedicated to his friends in the fourth, and 14 poems about his wife and other close friends in the final. Epistles of Pontus is a collection of letters he wrote to friends when he was in exile. There he begs friends to speak for him before members of the imperial family, discusses writing and portrays life in exile in his poetry collection. Halutica, a lost fishing poetry, and an equally lost Gothic poem are both mentioned. Medea, Ovid's sole tragedy, was similarly lost, only a few passages remain. One of Ovid's most celebrated works, Quintilian regarded it as an example of his literary ability. Ovid, along with Horace and Virgil, is a well-known poet from the reign of Augustus. He regarded himself as a Roman citizen and a cosmopolitan. Metamorphoses is still his best-known piece of writing. Death. In 17 or 18 AD, Ovid was exiled to Thomas, a Greek colony on the outskirts of the Roman Empire, where he died. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.